Alrighty, here we go. This one is for you, dear Capricorn. There you are. That's Capricorn. This is Terra Lumination. This is your love relationship report. Let's call it a report for the June 2018 season. Okay, so it's a very, very jumbled month. All the planets are aligned well spaced throughout the whole of the solar system. So they're all very active in their own natural energies right now. There's not a lot of very, very tight clusters like in March or like in early, middle May. So as all the energy opens up, it's almost like being on a freeway going really fast with a lot of traffic, and everything's just rolling, but you have to be very, very alert because anything could go wrong at any moment. There's a lot of good stuff happening, but it's also very volatile. Okay, before I even get into it, I'm just going to do what I've been doing with all the other reports. It's so complex this month, I'm not even going to bother to try. I'm just going to give you some key dates, okay, for everybody. May 30th, June 1st, right at the beginning of the month. Big grand trine water things going on here, okay? Very supportive, very comfortable for you, Capricorn. There's a big grand kite where you've got the, I think it's Venus and Moon, perhaps, opposite Capricorn. So there's a lot of awareness here, like really, really stark, rich awareness for you as a person, which can help you to, improve your love and relationship, okay? June 6th, hard squares between Gemini and Pisces energy. June 10th, hard T-squares between the Aquarius Leo energy with Taurus in the middle. Doesn't affect you directly, but it's still very stressful. June 14th, okay? Let's just put these up here. I'll put them like this. Hope you can see that. June 14th, hard T-squares. Now this one is Capricorn Cancer with the Chiron and Aries thing in the middle. So you might be aware of that when it comes to health, okay? The other squares are still going. Same ongoing hard T-squares. June 21st, more T-squares. Very challenging energies between Aquarius and Leo with Scorpio in the middle. Doesn't affect you directly head-on. But we do have a T-square between the Cancer energy and the Capricorn energy with Libra in the middle. So watch out around the 21st, okay? That's what I'm suggesting. Watch out early in the month. And also the 23rd, there's some very challenging squares, T-squares. Even what amounts to a virtual grand square could be very challenging for everybody. It doesn't hit you directly, but it's still very challenging. The 29th, again, Aquarius, Leo, Taurus in the middle. Very challenging, but not direct for you. Now, towards the end of the month, everything changes for you, Capricorn, because the sun is going to move into your opposite sign, Cancer. So it's very much about the energy of relationship is going to really, really amplify for you right towards the end of the month. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right. Now, rest is like usual, Terra Lumination. Just do the routine. Watch your sun, moon, and rising. Cards are already shuffled well in advance. If you want to get an extra edge, watch for your significant other, okay? Now for singles, I know you ask sometimes, you can watch this if you want to, because you can extrapolate from the laws of attraction. You're always radiating love and relationship energy anyway, in some form or another, and then something reflects back to you. The mirror, the universe, if you think of the universe as a mirror. So if you're wondering about, your singlehood, what's out there, think of this reading as a potential, like a what if. What if only, or what if, okay? But otherwise, this is mostly for those who are in a committed, chosen relationship, consciously as much as possible. We're going to use the crucible spread so that you understand that there's you, Capricorn, a significant other, and the relationship itself, a third entity, which has its own life, energy, purpose, meaning, and integrity. And in a very loving, healthy relationship, both parties acknowledge that and invest through and in the relationship, as opposed to head-on, face-to-face. Cards are well shuffled now. We're going to go for it, okay? Please bring in your angels. Make this a team effort, all right? Really, really helps. All right. So that was a fun, quirky, interesting cut from my perspective. You might not see it on the camera, but that was how it was here. You know, I'm going to swap this around. Excuse me. I want this to be more like this. So this is you over here, Capricorn, okay? And this is our little time frame we're talking about, the Gemini season, June 2018. All right? So we are cut. We're going to go for it. Here is your love frequency, relationship frequency. Think of yourself like a cell phone. You're sending out signals, deep, 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 deep. And over here is the response. Here's a significant other, energy of a significant other. Okay? Relationship dynamic. Over here, deep inside of you. Over here, deep inside of the other. Over here, the relationship itself. Can you see the crucible here? This is a crucible spread. Okay, it's designed specifically to address loving relationships on the understanding that there is a third entity, the relationship itself. Okay, not everybody reads this way, but we do it to illumination. Over here, the momentum. Think of this as a thing that's constantly in flow. It has a life. It's a living entity, all right? There's you, there's another. Now, this is not a couples reading, okay? There's not two of you here. This is all about you, Capricorn, and we're allowing for the energy of a significant other from over here. Let's have a look at the circumstantial energy that's out there. Think of it as the planets. Think of it as weather, and we're going to make the best of it. You have the ten of Wands here. To me, this is an indication that it's very simple in some ways. You might be well overburdened when it comes to love and relationship. But then in some ways it doesn't surprise me, because getting a little bit sort of esoteric here with the astrology, if you think about it, June would be the heads up month before you get into the full-on opposition month of the Cancerian energy. Okay, so like typically a few weeks before those hard angles, you know, first, seventh, fourth and 10th houses, it could feel like there's a lull in the energy, like having reached the limits of your abilities to cope, and then everything gets recharged again. So in your situation, Capricorn, the recharge is really much towards the end of June, and so it's almost like for now it's just struggling just to get through the month. Okay, no matter how things might look and appear to be, for this card to be here at all, it's an indication that somewhere deep down, circumstantially around you, it's an indication that it's almost like you might have taken on too much. You're already kind of at a breaking point for yourself, and it's just being reflected back to you from your circumstances. Like you might see it. You might not be admitting this to yourself, but you might see it in your surroundings. Maybe people are hinting like, hey, Capricorn, you need a break. Have you ever considered taking a break? Hey, Capricorn, what's going on? You've been doing so well. I don't know how you handle it all. Just little hints like, you know, because, you know, Capricorn, you're built for taking on the big challenges and building the skyscrapers of this world, managing things that no one else wants to handle or management, because you're good at it, including a relationship. But sometimes, you know, like when you're in the position of being the boss, like what's going to happen if you let go? That's the big question that would plague Capricorn. All right, let's have a look. Love relationship energy that you're radiating. Okay, with the Four of Swords here, maybe you've already figured it out. Maybe you already realized, I just can't take it anymore. There are certain things going on in my love life, in my relationship, in my very deepest, most personal relationship with a significant other, where things have become unbearable. Okay? Now, whether that's openly admitted or not is a whole other thing, because you might be a total sweetheart, you might be a total gentleman, gentle person, and you're being very gracious and considerate and loving towards your significant other. And as far as you can tell, they're being that way to you. My feeling here is that in some ways you might need a break from your significant other. Your significant other might need a break for you. But either way, the indication here is that if you are not calling out for love and healing in your own life, in your own world right now, it's time that you consider and allow for love and healing to happen. If you have called out and you are receiving the response and you are allowing yourself to basically separate for a while, couples do that. Sometimes it's good to take a break from each other. Like, hey, hey, why don't you go off and hang out with your mom and dad for a while, okay? And they say, you know what? I was going to ask you the same. Do you mind? I need a week off. And then you can say, well, if you don't mind, please don't be insulted, but I need a break too. We've been going at it for so long. We've got so much invested in each other. We've put so much into everything, who we are and what we do. Frankly, we need a break. I need a break from you, and you need a break from me. And your other party is like, well, if that's how it has to be. And it's like, it doesn't mean it's over. It's just that we need some serious healing. I need some serious healing, if you don't mind. Please. It doesn't mean I don't love you. It's just that right now, I need a break. Even in the context of a deep soulmate relationship. I hope you don't mind. Well, okay, well, let's see about that. We'll see about that. Okay, let's have a look. What's going on over there? Okay, well, they might be feeling it. Okay, over here with the Four of Cups, they might be very aware that you're kind of in the doldrums. You're kind of at a point where you've reached the limit of your ability to handle things the way they are, and that you do need a break. The thing is, they might be taking it personally, and they might be thinking, oh my gosh, does that mean they don't love me anymore? Oh my gosh, what have I done wrong? Where's it all going? If only we'd done this. Perhaps if we could have done this, or maybe we should be doing this. Maybe. Oh, if only. What if? And they might be off in their own, dreamland bubble about living their own lives, because there might be a serious disconnect between you guys right now. They're off in their own woe is me. You're off in your own version of needing to recuperate and heal yourself too, and the whole relationship might have a perspective. Like if someone else was looking at your relationship from the outside, they might notice very, very clearly that you guys have almost kind of reached a breaking point where you both deserve a break from each other. Again, doesn't mean the end of the world, but sometimes it's very, very good thing for relationships to take timeouts, deliberate, chosen timeouts. Now, it looks to me like this would be perfectly reasonable for you. They might not be handling it very well or even admitting it at all. They might be kind of stuck in the past, worrying about things. I don't know if they're worrying to you directly. They might be carrying this inside of themselves, and they might be completely unaware. They might have completely lost track of what it really means to be in a deeply loving relationship. So far, whenever I see this card, I always get reminded of the concept of how energy flows where attention goes. And if they are just permanently consumed with the past and the could have and the would have and the should have, and how that could be projected into the future, like if we only do this, this, and this, and this, then we can make that and that happen. But without any awareness of what's going on in the present right now, that becomes a very serious problem. It looks like a tiny problem, but it's actually very serious, because it means like there's lack of focus, there's lack of direction. The core love vibe has been either neglected or lost or even thrown away, rejected. Resentment can do that. If there's a lot of deep simmering resentment, that can happen. Couples can live like that for long periods of time, where they're carrying deep resentments and bitter anguish and all sorts of unresolved conflicts, and yet they conduct the relationship as though everything is just fine, and they're going through the motions, going through the paces. It looks to me like there's a lot of stuff that needs healing here, and that would admit that stuff needs healing. That's a whole different thing. Admitting it is very different from actually getting it or doing it. Okay, let's have a look deep down inside. What's going on with you? To me, it looks here, forget the gender. The Queen is wonderful energy for considering how well you've done already, how much value you have as a person already, how much work you've done on yourself already, how tough it's been just to get here where you are in your life right now with love and relationship and with just being yourself as a person. And then at the point, also, I think with this whole vibe here that I'm sensing as, right now everybody needs a break because things have literally reached a breaking point. Deep inside, you might be really, really questioning, apart from the relationship dynamics itself, but your own self, like, what is it I really want? What is it that's really, really valuable to me? What is it I value about myself, my significant other, and our relationship? And then figuring out, like doing an appraisal, and then figuring out what we're going to do. And to me, it looks like this is happening in the context of what almost amounts to, from what I looks like here, is like almost like an informal separation, where basically the party is separated. You could be living together, sleeping in the same bed, but you're essentially separated as beings, as a couple, trying to deal with things internally, okay, as opposed to externally. Also, remember right now, Pluto is really heavily in retrograde. So that means it could be, and that's in Capricorn. Simultaneously, Saturn is in Capricorn. That's the reality check police coming along with deep transformational energy simultaneously. So the things that we're talking about here might be happening at a very, very deep subterranean soul level, whereas your day-to-day life maybe have all the appearance as though everything is just hunky-dory, status quo. We do this, we do that, that, and they do this, that, and that, and everything's just fine. What's the problem? Well, this is the problem, okay? And it needs to be addressed. It needs to be faced, and I have a feeling it will be. Let's have a look. What's going on deep inside of them? Okay. Well, it looks like the subject matter of happiness and having their own happiness is taking center stage for them. In other words, it's almost like in their own way, they're questioning what is it that really, really constitutes happiness for them as an individual. Just in the way you would be questioning, what is it that I really want? What is it I really value? What do they value about me? What do I value about them? And for the significant other over here, it's just like, well, what is it that actually makes me happy? What is it that makes us happy? I want to be happy. I deserve to be happy. I would like to have my own sense of happiness that is not contingent upon you or the relationship. Now, that's cool, but it does put pressure on the relationship, because maybe the significant other over here has never really thought of themselves as being a fully individuated being in the context of a very loving relationship. Maybe they've always, without knowing it, made their happiness contingent upon the outcomes and expectations of a relationship specific to you and specific to the relationship, where if it doesn't work according to their precepts of the relationship about what should happen to constitute happiness for them and how you should comply with that in order to fit this precept, then that becomes a really serious problem. It's almost like it's making the problem worse and worse and worse. I know the Nine of Cups is a beautiful card in its own right, but in the overall context of this reading, I see both of the internal soul levels here as, again, deeply separated. These are very nutritious, loving cards together in their own right. I'm not saying this is not a loving relationship. All I'm suggesting here is that the relationship is under deep, deep examination right now. And those moments are going to be triggered at certain times. Like when the moon is in Cancer. Dear Capricorn, when the moon is in Cancer every month, just please note how you feel deep inside of you at those times. Okay? Those are going to be trigger moments. All right, let's have a look. What's going on over here at the core itself? Okay, liberation. Okay, well, listen, look. Whew. Okay, with the Judgment card here, this feels to me Like there's nothing holding you guys back from having a loving relationship. It's just that everything is going to have to be re-examined from whole new perspectives now, because everything is shifting and changing. There's so much like shift and change going on here. Like and it's multiple layers, all happening simultaneously, uh, making it possibly very hard to navigate through this month in a way that you would normally navigate through the month. There's so many challenging points. And especially when you get to the end of the month, that's when we really need to pay attention, Capricorn. So in some ways, to me, it looks like the relationship is calling out for liberation, freedom, redemption. Like, please let me go. Please let the relationship go. Where is the relationship? We need forgiveness in the relationship. We need redemption. The relationship needs healing, and the only way the healing can occur is through it's almost like having a very, very important meeting between yourself and a significant other, where both parties basically openly, honestly admit, you know what? We've reached a very significant threshold. The reality check police are here big time, and we're obviously on very different pages. We still love each other. We have so much that we've shared so much together. We've built so much, but we've got to the point where it's become a burden. Some people build so much, like they have grand lives, and yet the grand life can actually become a burden. And sometimes people want to downsize their lives, which might feel very contradictory. Like, why would we give all this away just to go and live in a shack, on a Pacific island? Well, because that might work. Maybe that's the new perception of happiness for you, or for you. What constitutes happiness for the other? So I'm feeling that there's a lot of questioning going on here at the deep soul level, and the relationship is crying out for freedom, liberation, like release me. In other words, if the relationship has been living under a status quo structure for a long time, it's like the relationship, not you, not the significant other, relationship is talking to both of you saying, look at me, look at our relationship. It's stagnant, it's overburdened, it's broken down in some way, and if we don't deal with it, it's actually going to break down. We have to deal with this. It looks like, let's pretend Tarot Illumination is the relationship, and it's talking to you, looking at your relationship objectively. You know what, dear Capricorn? You need to release yourself and redeem yourself from the significant other according to whatever you thought was working or how it was working. And by the way, dear significant other, I'm part of this Capricorn reading for your loved one over here. It would be really help right now if you were willing to admit that things are seriously overburdened and in the doldrums right now. So I'm suggesting the best thing is have a get together, be really honest about it, and be willing to forgive and forget whatever is not working, because it looks to me that there are certain things that are seriously out of whack here that need to be admitted and dealt with in order for things to progress and move on. I'm not saying it's the end of a relationship, but sometimes relationships need to be blown up and then reconfigured. Okay? Let's have a look. Okay. Well, here's the key. As far as I'm concerned, with the Nine of Wands here, the key is to understand that this is of your own making, Capricorn. This is of their own making. In other words, everything is exactly as it should be. Whatever is burdensome, whatever is not working, whatever is happening with you, Capricorn, where the relationship, a significant other, are at the point where nobody can take it anymore, nobody can take the pressure anymore, and everyone's living like they're playing a role as opposed to being themselves, and they're not dealing with the internal dynamics which are so far out of whack, that are being deeply questioned and deeply examined right now. My feeling is that the relationship is going to tell you effectively, some way, somehow, eventually there's going to be some kind of evidence in the relationship, like an event, or something's going to be spoken by you or a significant other. Something is going to surface in a relationship where it's like someone's got to do it. Someone's got to call it out and say, you know, we have to admit it. We've painted ourselves into a corner here. We didn't mean to, but we are really boxed in. We are really, really up to our necks in it with challenges that, you know, a lot of people face as relationships mature and grow over time. It's just like a big tree. Eventually, you know, certain branches have to fall off. Certain amounts of bark and leaves fall off in order for life to continue and grow and move on. You can't hold on to the bark and the trees and the leaves all the time forever, unless you're one of those, I don't know what they're called. Certain trees do that, apparently. I don't know. Sorry, that was a distraction. So it looks to me here that it's very important to admit that without any harm intended, both of you are the authors of your own demise. And it needs healing. This is especially for you, Capricorn. You need healing, and this needs to be addressed. Whatever's going on here that's not working, it needs to be addressed. It needs liberation. The relationship is calling out for liberation, like release us, release me from you, release me from you, release me from. And so that's what I'm trying to say here. It doesn't mean there's no love. It just means liberation is required. Okay, might be something to do with the Mars and Aquarius thing, in a hard square with the Uranus and Taurus thing. I'm just adding that for a little bit of spice at the end. Okay, please reinterpret however you want. I hope I didn't paint too dark a picture for you. Please don't blame me. I'm just trying to be a good reader for you, okay? All the best, Capricorn. You can handle it. You're very tough.